Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of High Energy Girl. And today's amazing guest is Dana Frost. And her own chronic health storm arrived at a young age with heart surgery and all that comes with it. So she took her power back into her own hands and created her signature Vitality U method, which replaces a prescription-driven mindset with personal lifestyle changes that will actually bring balance to your mind, body, and spirit. We talked about light therapy, about stem cells, about self-care, and all kinds of good stuff. I cannot wait for you to hear this show. So let's go and say hello to Dana. Hey everyone, welcome to High Energy Girl, a podcast helping women to age stronger because it is never too late to get fit, be strong, and feel sexy. I'm your host, Tracy Gluhige, health coach and personal trainer and founder of HighEnergyGirl.com. Each week, we will either have a guest interview, which will provide you encouragement or an actionable tip to help you age stronger, or I will do a solo episode. Please also join our awesome Facebook group called High Energy Girls, and I'm looking forward to see you on the inside of that group and hope you enjoy today's show. Hey everyone, this is Tracy, and I have a special announcement. In order for me to help more women age stronger, I have created a 90-day one-on-one coaching program. And the goal here is to teach women over 50 how to age stronger while burning fat and boosting energy without going hungry or living in the gym. If you'd like more information, please hit me up at tracy@highenergygirl.com or friend me on Facebook and send me a message. I have a goal of transforming 1,000 women in the next year, and I hope you are one of them. Hey, Dana, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Here, Tracy, it's such a pleasure to be here.
You are so adorable. So for the listeners that don't know you yet, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, thank you for asking, Tracy. Okay. I was raised in the Midwest in Missouri, and from a very young age, I knew I wanted to be a global citizen. And I had that, I was able to do that. I studied French as of like 7th grade onward. And then I was able to live abroad. I met somebody who also wanted to live abroad. So we lived in South America for 10 years and Switzerland for a brief period. And, I'm a social worker by education, and my love for people is really what took me into social work. And then eventually, while we were living in South America, we adopted 2 children. And through that adoption, I hired a life coach to help me through the transition. And it was so transformational, Tracy, that instead of finishing my master's, I just once I kind of got my wings with, transitioning these 2 children into our family, I did my life coach training with Dr. Martha Beck. And that was in 2006. And so I've been in the profession since then. And it's, it changes because we are all kind of a work in progress, right? And I had my own health crisis, which led me down a healing journey, which led me to heart math, which led me to energy work and a lot of other things. And so in 2016, I studied functional nutrition. And so that's it. I weave a lot of different things into my practice, Tracy, but it's really, I would say at the heart of it is this idea that we are equipped with everything we need to heal. And it's really tapping into that and oftentimes we need support, we need tools, just tapping into what does each individual need for their unique journey, because we're all different. We all have very different stories, very different histories. And, it's really that inner knowing of what is it that I need on my healing journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somebody recently explained it to me like when you cut your finger heals itself. Your body
Mhm.
knows how to heal itself. And I
Mhm.
just thought, wow, I never actually thought about it that way, but that's a really good visualization for me.
It is, yes. And there's been so much focus on the immune system, which I actually think is fantastic that our awareness to what our immune system can do for us and how it protects us. And it's on the lookout for us. And all, we've learned over the past 2 years, there are many things that we can do to boost our immune system. So yeah, I mean, the body it's a super computer. It's a super machine.
Hmm. So, what are your top favorite things to boost your immune system?
Being out in the sun. I was born in the summer and I'm a Leo, and I've over the past few years I've come to appreciate that it's like air to me. I need the sun. So the sun is one thing. Um, Managing my stress and getting sleep are, two. I really had to learn strategies for allowing my body to not be functioning in sympathetic mode, which is,
Mm.
the we need to be in sympathetic mode. It's our active mode, but we need to be in parasympathetic, which is the rest. I say rest and the resting mode, the healing mode. It's our sleep mode. It's when the body gets to reset itself. So sleep. There are some supplements that I take, and then I do some light therapy. I'm really a heart math practitioner. So those are probably the main things. I don't necessarily want to say the supplements because they're not necessarily the supplements for everyone, but
Hmm. That's interesting. And you mentioned light therapy, which just gives me the thought of the sun. But then we spoke
Mhm.
earlier about light. And I know from one of my new teachers that light and sound are both extremely important in our healing and self-discovery journeys. So why don't
Mhm.
you talk about a little bit about that? Like, how did you get started in light therapy? What do you do exactly?
Yeah. So a friend of mine, Heather Parkin, who owns a company called Bend Yoga, would be a nice thing to put on your show notes. I'll give her a little plug there. Handmade, hand-dyed Ayurvedic yoga mats that are non-toxic and beautiful with this organic, gorgeous cotton. She introduced me to it. It's been quite a long time ago. But it was a different, I mean, I still use that light system device. I don't use it as much anymore, but I use it probably once a week. It's considered an at-home medical device that is a box that you plug pads into the box. It's Inlight Wellness is the company, and you can plug up to 6 pads in this box. The pads have a combination of red, blue, and infrared lights, and the pads are different sizes. You put the pads on your skin, actually, and you turn the device on. There are different settings on the device so that the interesting thing, you said light and sound. This device, it transmits the light into your body with sound frequency. It's
Mm.
very, very powerful. It really helped me heal. It helped me learn to just this idea of putting myself in parasympathetic mode. Um, you can do all sorts of things: line your spine, cover your eyes, cover your digestive system, and really go to work in terms of healing your digestive system, healing your nervous system. So that was my introduction to light therapy. Um, and that was what I was exposed to. I used it with clients. It's very powerful. It can heal. Let me just say this. It's FDA approved to reduce pain, increase blood flow, and decrease inflammation. So why, those are the symptoms that there's disease in the body, inflammation, pain, reduced blood flow. It means you don't have, your joints don't have the range of motion they need to have. The blood is not efficiently getting to all parts of your body. And so there are so many clinical studies. If you go to PubMed, you could look up low-level light therapy, LED light therapy, and you would find it's very well researched what light therapy can do to support the body's healing process. Fast forward, Tracy, and I had been researching stem cell injections for my mom. She has really bad arthritis. She really needed they said an ankle replacement. Nobody really does ankle replacements, but that's how bad her ankle was with arthritis. And I had been researching stem cell injections for her. And I just, there weren't any guarantees. She is on a limited budget. It was a hard button to push with her limited budget without the guarantee. And also a lot of the practitioners who have amazing results, they are way outside of her budget. So, for 2 years, the 2 years post my dad dying, I would kind of go in and out of researching and yes, no, and, wavering on it. And I had a colleague introduce me to a new kind of stem cell therapy. This was in February of 2021. It's from the company called LifeWave Company. It's been around since 2003. It was founded by a scientist named David Schmidt. And the basics of it, I can show you because you can see me. This is a LifeWave patch. It looks like a round Band-Aid. It's medical grade adhesive. The patches are programmed with nanocrystals in specific patterns or frequencies. You put them on acupoints on the body. Your body is the energy source. So your light body or the heat in your body is the energy source. So no more plugging in to an outlet. It activates your body's heat, activates the patch, sends a message to the brain to follow through with specific biological processes. And we have the clinical studies to back up what we say, what it can do. And it does actually have a lot to do with decreasing pain, increasing blood flow, and decreasing inflammation. Now, so that's the light, all of the patches, it's a light therapy that uses the body as the energy source. When we're talking, we didn't really talk about stem cells yet, but the very cool thing about these products is that in 2019, the company launched their first stem cell activation patch. So they have two different patches. Each one elevates a different copper peptide. And that when that copper peptide is activated, that shows that stem cell activity in the body. They're two different copper peptides. So when you put this, one is called X39, one is called X49. You put the patch on these acupoints that have been, in the clinical studies, and the body responds and your stem cells are activated. So it's light therapy and stem cell activation.
Wow. Did your mom have good results with it?
She did. So I bought, as her birthday gift in February of 2021, I bought her a package, and she said within a couple days, it looks like the swelling's going down. And over 2 weeks, she said, oh, I can definitely say the pain is less. So so that, you can imagine, that piqued my interest. And so I went back to my colleague and I wanted to know more information. And then I started trying the patches for different reasons than my mom. And so my mom is a year and a year and 3/4 using the patches, and it has made a difference. It really has. She's been, she uses them daily. Is her arthritis, we're not solving a disease with the patches, we're treating symptoms. So for her, she can do things that she couldn't do before, and she can do them with less pain. And so it's extended, her quality of life. It's really significantly extended her quality of life.
Wow. That's something. I wonder if there's a way that they can measure if there's an increase in stem cells in their body, or if there's a way that they can show, quantifiably.
It's the elevation of these two copper peptides. That's how you, yes, they do show that in clinical studies. LifeWave has hundreds of studies. They're all published on the website under products, and then you scroll down to science. There are independent lab studies as well as in-house lab studies. And so it actually is there's the science is there to back it up, to show stem cell activity in the body.
Wow, that's impressive. And you said it was reasonably priced?
So I think that it is reasonably priced. If you look at the cost of stem cell injections,
it's ridiculous.
Or if you, in my light therapy device, I don't know what it costs now, but when I bought it, with all the pads that I have, it was probably close to $5,000. I've gotten my use out of it, and I had a couple of devices that I shared with clients. I passed them around to different clients when treating health conditions. And we know stem cell injections you're talking thousands of dollars. So to patch daily with a stem cell patch is $99 a month. So that's less than somebody's going to spend on a coffee each day.
Yeah, I put my husband on human growth hormone, and that's like $400 a month. So I wonder if he would.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. I know, right?
So it would be really interesting for you to look at the collection of patches, because our X49, the other stem cell patch, is a performance patch. And that patch in clinical studies, and they're very interesting to see, decreased fat mass, increased lean mass. Anecdotally, people are reporting an increase in libido. Stamina, it's called a support. So when this copper peptide gets elevated, GHK, it increases strength and stamina. Those are two of the things that get activated with this specific copper peptide that's of X49. So it could be really pretty interesting. There are different ways to create these biological processes in the body, right? There's not just one way.
Right.
One of the things that I really appreciate about the patch system is that you're not going through the digestive system. So we know many people have a compromised digestive system, right? And so our supplements have to make it through the digestive system into the bloodstream. I can give you an example of the patch that elevates glutathione. We were talking about immunity. So one of the things I do for immunity is I wear the glutathione patch. It stimulates the body's own production of glutathione. So these patches, they are not transdermal. There's nothing that's going from the patch to the skin. It's an electrical communication. It uses the electrical system in the body, and the electrical system in the body is infinitely more faster than the nervous system. The glutathione patch in clinical studies, Tracy, it elevates glutathione up to 300%, and it stays elevated for 24 hours. When you if you inject glutathione, the numbers are different depending if you're ingesting like a supplement or if you're doing injectable glutathione. they don't even come close to the elevation that we get with the patch. There's a quick, there's with the injection, it's a quick climb and then a fast decline.
So 2 questions for you. First of all, I've come to, at least I think I know, that if you supplement with glutathione, your body will not produce it as much as it should. So we want to stimulate our body to produce glutathione instead of just taking it. So the patch would actually, in effect, do that instead of taking it. So it would shut off our natural process. Is that correct?
It's stimulating your natural process.
Right. Yeah. So that's better than taking it, right?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
It's stimulating it.
So, but can you explain to the listeners what is glutathione and why do they want to increase it?
Yeah. Yes, I can. I would love to. So glutathione is considered one of our body's master antioxidants. And what do we mean when we say antioxidant? That we hear that all the time, right? In magazines, on social media, in the newspaper. And it's like, well, what is that? What is that anyway? Well, the body, because of stress, and it can be external stress, endogenous stress, stress physically because of the digestive system, buildup in the blood vessels. It oxidizes. We get oxidation in our system. Well, we need something to remove the oxidation. And so there are all sorts of foods that we can eat and things we can do. But so our body's master antioxidant is called glutathione. The body produces it in the liver and in other places, primarily in the liver. And it decreases with age, as many things decrease with age because our cells aren't as robust. And, I say they get flaccid, they become flaccid, but that's
a good one.
Yeah, the oxidation in the body creates the conditions where the body is not optimized as, towards potential. And so glutathione helps take the trash out of the body. And it decreases with age. So we really do want to stimulate it. Now, what can happen is you can have detox symptoms with glutathione. So this is something I really watch with anyone who starts patching with glutathione is we do want to pay attention because you can have a healing crisis because it's stirring up it's stirring everything up. And the elimination systems, whether it's through the skin or through the bowels, can eliminate what gets stirred up. But if you're not sweating and you're not eliminating well every day, then you're moving things around, right? And so you really want to have your elimination in order. You want to be sweating so that when glutathione is trying to take things out of the body can remove them. Or like lymphatic massage, self-lymphatic massage is a good thing to help the body remove the trash that gets built up in the body.
How do you do that? How do you do self-lymphatic massage?
So there are lots of videos on YouTube because this isn't a visual. It's very the best way to describe it's very gentle movements with the palm of your hand and an upward swing. You're going from your feet up and you're moving towards your lymph. So if you think of your inner groin, if you think of your armpits, so you're moving like under your bra towards your armpits, you start sweeping from your hands up to your armpits, from your legs down. You can also do body brushing, which you might self-lymphatic massage or body brushing. You would find a lot of videos on YouTube to demonstrate that. And those are really good practices to have on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm familiar with dry brushing. I have a dry brush in my bathroom. So that's, I think, really good for lymphatic. Okay. So we talked about the light therapy with the patches and everything. And you also do a process that I'm semi-familiar with, really want to learn more about, and I think it's really important, is the heart math. So can you talk about how you found it and how it helped you, and then how you help other people with that?
Yeah. Thank you for asking me, because heart math, it is maybe my sweet spot in terms of a modality that I really appreciate, because my health crisis included a heart crisis. I went to the emergency room in the summer of 2011. Yeah, 2011. And I stabbed my finger pitting an avocado. And, you know, this was at the end, it was summer. I had my kids, we had gone to the museum. I had a friend over. I'm coming home from the museum. I'm really hungry. And all I can think about is, I've got to get home. We had guests, this, other family with us. I've got to get home and make a big bowl of guacamole. So I'm rushing. I'm pitting the avocado. The knife goes right through my fingers. And I'm like, I don't have time to go to the emergency room. Are you kidding me? Clean it up, patch it up. I'm like, I'll go. This is what women do, right, Tracy?
Yeah. Super glue. That's what works.
Oh, I didn't do that, but I cleaned it up, and I bandaged it. I wrapped it. I did everything. I continued. I finished the guacamole. I made dinner. And then my friend said, when are you going to go to the emergency room? And I said, I don't really want to go. I'm going to call and see if they're busy. And so I called it was not far from our home. I called and they said, no, it's actually wide open. So I go over to the emergency room, and my heartbeat was 38 beats per minute. That's very, very low. And it's it's very scary. And so forget about the finger at that point. And actually, they glued it together. They glued that injury together. I needed a tetanus shot. That was all nothing, but they started doing, the investigation of why was the heartbeat so low. And fast forward, they uncovered that the electrical conduction of my heart had burned out, and they ruled out Lyme's disease. There were other possible reasons why a woman at the time, I was 45, but I was turning 46 in a few weeks. I'm 56 now. So it was 11 years ago. And they ruled out, that it could have happened from some other reason. And so I had to get a pacemaker implanted. And they said, oh, you'll feel like your old self again once you get the pacemaker in. Now, mind you, I had been very, very tired. And my oldest daughter had just graduated from high school. And I thought, I have 5 kids. So visualize that. I'm a mom, I'm a coach, I have 5 kids. My husband travels all the time. I had been very tired. And so as a woman, we would just say, it's just stress, and that's really what I thought it was. And I teach the body compass. So I had tools. I know about my body compass. It's my main coach was for many years, my main coaching tool. But I thought it was stress. And I thought, I'll get Abby to school, and then, I'll get in a routine and I'll be able to rest again. But that just wasn't the case, because there was an underlying, deficiency in my body. So the pacemaker was implanted, and I will tell you, I did not feel any different. I was just as tired. And the pacemaker was now pacing my heart. So that, that was working. That was good news there, but I was still just as tired. And my electrophysiologist said it was in my head. He said, you've got to relax. How do you relax? At the time, how do you really relax when you've got 5 kids, you're trying to get one daughter off to college, etc. Since now I can relax in the midst of whatever, I've learned. This is why I love heart math. But I had to go looking, because I'm like, this isn't in my head. I know the way that I'm feeling. Like, I had a lot of perimenopausal symptoms, and none of that went away just because I had a pacemaker implanted. My fatigue was still the same. And so I started reading, and I found a book by a female cardiologist, Mimi Guarneri, called When the Heart Speaks. And I got myself through that book quickly. And she mentioned heart math in her book. So what did I do? I'm like, heart math. I look it up, and I'm just blown away by, one, her book validated that my broken electrical conduction of my heart, there was also an emotional component. It wasn't just, you can't separate physical from everything else. If you've got physical breakdown, there's an emotional connection. And so that book led me to heart math, and I bought their device. I now have Inner Balance. I don't remember what the device was that you connected to your laptop. And I started training myself in heart math breathing techniques. These are research studied breathing techniques that in their research shows they create, when we practice heart math, it creates greater shifts in the body than meditation. And they would say that is because you're actually engaged. In meditation, we detach, but with heart math, we're actively engaging, and we're calling up emotions that are regenerative in the body. So many things I could say about heart math, but let me just say, each emotion activates either parasympathetic or sympathetic in the nervous system. And from that point, each emotion you experience will release chemicals or hormones. Hormones are either fueling or depleting in the system. And so when you use the breathing techniques, if it's an emotion that's depleting, you can actually use a different emotion with this breathing technique to neutralize a depleting emotion. Now, that doesn't mean that you only want to feel fueling emotions. No, to be human is to be able to feel all the emotions. They have something they call from depletion and renewal. They used to call it the emotional compass. I still call it the emotional compass. It's a map of your emotional experience, and there are 4 quadrants. And in one quadrant, it's a fueling emotion, and your heart rate goes up. Another, it's a fueling emotion and the heart rate goes down. In another, it's a depleting emotion, heart rate goes up. Depleting emotion, heart rate goes down. So fueling or depleting, you can activate parasympathetic or sympathetic. But the depletion and the renewal is what determines the chemicals that get released. Are they a chemical like cortisol that is depleting, or a chemical like oxytocin, the bonding chemical? And we need cortisol. Of course, we need cortisol. But what happens is that, and this is what happened for me, we get stuck in a stressful pattern. Whatever, we have a trauma, something happens, and we stay releasing depleting chemicals in the system, and you get body breakdown. And so heart math is a tool. It's an energetic tool, actually, that changes your physiology. And it's as simple as going to your breath and visualizing your inhale and exhale to flow to and from the heart center. And then from there, that's heart focused breathing. From there, we move on to, to different tools, different ways that we use their breathing tools. That, in a nutshell, is heart math. So it really taught me, Tracy, how to moderate my heart rate variability, and how it made me, I listened to your episode on somatic healing, which I'm a big fan of somatic healing. This heart math connects you not only to your body, but to the energy in your heart. So the brain energy waves barely leave your body, and your heart energetic, you probably know this, it can go beyond your arm length. and radiate to the people across the room or across the table. The energy in your heart, it's incredibly powerful. So you're tapping into that when you bring your awareness to that heart rate variability, to the energy of the heart, and you call upon. They have you, inner ease technique is one where you just visualize, inhale and exhale to flow to and from the heart center with the feeling of inner ease. I mean, we could do that with your listeners now. They say 20 seconds. So all of you out there in Tracy's community, you're driving, you could be walking, whatever, just visualize the inhale and exhale to flow to and from the heart center with the feeling of inner ease. We all know what inner ease feels like. We can bring that up in our body. Inner ease flowing to and from the heart center. I just felt a shift. I don't know if you did. You feel it. You just feel everything shifting around you when you bring your awareness to that. That's 20 seconds right there.
And I think it gets you out of your head, which I feel like when you're in your head, you have so much chatter that is counterproductive, that takes you out of the love space, the love frequency. So that is good. But I want to get back to your story, Dana. So you started using heart math to help your own body heal. What was your experience? How long did it take? What did you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I just can, see myself. I would sit on my bed and I would have my laptop. I would be hooked in to the device and watching, and it gave me a real awareness of my heart rate variability, because you could see it when you use one of their devices. You actually get to see your heart rate variability. So you can imagine mine with before my pacemaker, it was just barely any variability. It was barely beating and it wasn't regular. You want your heart rate variability. You actually want there to be a nice distance between the up and down, and you want it to have a regular sequence. So it connected me to that part of my physiology and the part of the intelligence in my heart. And I started relaxing. I felt like I was creating a container in which I could heal. At the same time, I was reading other books. I read a book on adrenal fatigue, and I started, using food and smoothies. This was all me, just self-study. And so I started shifting some things there. My energy, I was improving slowly. It wasn't really as much as I wanted to, but the heart math really gave me that intimate connection with my heart and my body and my emotions. And how long did it take? I can just like that through that fall, I was practicing it every day, and it was making a difference. The progress was slow and steady, I would say. But what I could feel is that my pacemaker, I felt something very wonky with my pacemaker. It just didn't, it would speed up at certain times. And my doctor said, it's kind of in your head. Well, I eventually made him. I'm like, I need to come in and you need to see this. And sure enough, actually, they needed to shift the settings. I don't know if I would have caught that if it wouldn't have been for this daily practice of being, using their software and their device to track, because it's not biofeedback, and they're very clear. It's not called biofeedback, but you are getting visual to pair with what you're feeling. So I mean, heart math hasn't left my life since, Tracy, because then I went on to be a heart math coach. I'm like, I'm taking this to my clients. Then I went on to be a facilitator so I could teach to groups. And it has never really left my atmosphere. It's just really a part of my daily life.
Their institute is only about an hour from me. It's in Boulder Creek, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I'm going to have to get back on board with them, see if they like check out their new device so it's not so clunky. So if you were like talking to a client, you wanted to help them get started using that device, how many minutes a day or how much time a day do you feel like they should start with?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I have taken a lot of clients through it. And people's attention span, I was desperate. Okay. So let's just be real. I was desperate when I was introduced to heart math. So I was doing it probably like 30 minutes a day, 20 to 30 minutes a day. I like to say 5 minutes a day. Can you give 5 minutes a day to being on the device and training with it? I believe that it was 5 minutes a day in their research. There's a very specific number if you need to change your default, if you're set on fight and flight or sympathetic mode, to change your default. I think it was 5 minutes a day. You need to be practicing heart math 5 minutes a day. So that I could be wrong. I haven't looked at the number in a long time, but I think that that's what it was.
Oh, okay. So that's doable. 5 minutes a day. Give me a break. And I
Yeah.
always tell people like we make time to do the things that are the most important for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's important to you, you're going to make time for it.
That's very true. Yeah.
So that is cool. So do you want to talk a little bit about your book, your coaching program, things like that?
Sure. Well, so I don't have a book yet. I have a book. I have a book proposal. I don't have a book yet, but I do have a 100-page book proposal. So my coaching practice, it's very boutique. I used to have a health mastermind, which was a group of people working on their health, doing in-person retreats 3 times a year. And during the pandemic, I closed that down because we couldn't meet in person. So I work one-on-one with clients and I take them through a process. If they want to do life coaching, that's one thing, but if they want to work on their health, I'm looking through the functional lens. So my training is a functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner. So I create a functional health history that starts pre-birth, goes through birth all the way to current. And then we create, this is a framework. It's the framework from my training. And then we look at what we call a matrix. And we look at what are the antecedents in terms of your genetics, the things that have been expressed in your family history. What are the triggers? What are the things in your life that could have, caused the symptoms you're having now? Or like for me, there was a lot of stress in terms of transitioning our adopted children into our family. That was a trigger. Triggers can be funny things. Pregnancy can be a trigger for some women because many times they're diagnosed with a hormonal issue after they, give birth. A car accident could be a trigger. Abuse could be a trigger. So we look at triggers. And then we look at mediators. What are the things that make your symptoms better or worse? Things like could be food, could be meditation, could be yoga, could be running, could be bicycling, could be hiking, could be time with family, could be my dog, could be gluten, could be dairy, could be many different things. Then we look at all the different systems in the body, including things like community, in terms of like your community. So it's not just physical, it's also, your emotional and mental health. What are the symptoms you're experiencing? And then we have a strategy. And the strategy includes, stress, movement, nutrition, hydration, community as well. And those are, that's that side on the strategy. So then we just slowly, the healing process is not, rapid bullet. It's a process. So we slowly move towards health and fueling instead of depletion.
Nice. Yeah, those are all things that are so important that people, I mean, even the hydration. Somebody will say, oh, I drink 4 glasses of water a day or whatever. I mean, I always joke around, well, do you want to look like a grape or a raisin?
Yeah.
You
Very
know?
true. Yes. Yes.
So I drink, I mean, I'm like total, and sleep is so underrated. Sleep is so important.
It is.
So,
Yes.
and when I
It's
said book, sorry, when I said book, I meant to say you have a podcast.
Oh yeah, I do have a podcast. Yes. Oh my gosh, I don't want to forget about that. Vitally You is my podcast, and please join me on the podcast. The current episode is really interesting. I've had this group on twice. It's on at home urine analysis. Next week, I'm posting a solo episode on the concept of being safe and what does be safe mean. So it's a real mix of the ideas feeling younger while growing older. And what does that look like? And it's not really just about biohacking. You could have, it's really how do you personalize biohack for yourself without having to spend thousands of dollars? And it's not really it's not looking younger, feeling older, because that's not really the point. It is the way you look isn't the point. It's how you feel inside. So that's my podcast.
I love that you said that. I got a pitch on a podcast for somebody who is all into the cosmetic stuff. And I'm just not into that. Like,
Yeah.
I want you to feel good the way, naturally feel good and do the enhancements that you need to. But I have a friend, I have to tell you, Dana, she's going through a whole facelift, and I'm 56 like you, and I want to say she's 42. I'm like, you are so beautiful. Why do you feel like you need a facelift at 42?
Wow.
I know. See,
Wow.
that's inside here, right?
It's inside. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it is really interesting. My daughter says, this was probably 5 years ago. She said, I feel like the face of my generation, like the physical face of my generation is going to be very different because young people are starting injections in their 20s, injectables on their skin. And so that really is going to change. It changes the face, it really does change. And what is beauty? I mean, what is beauty? What does it mean to be beautiful? I think that this is a really important question, because if we, is it what we are told externally apart from ourselves, or is it something that we feel inside ourselves?
Well, I think it needs to be that, because honestly, like, the more I learn about the spiritual side of who we really are, somebody once said, like, we're a light body in a human experience. Okay. And, a spiritual being inside a 3D shell. Well, spirit doesn't criticize spirit. They just see love and light and energy. And so he made me really think, like, wow. So me criticizing myself is not my spirit side. That's not my light side. That's I think that's that ego, right?
It's the ego.
So anyways, that's a total another rabbit hole. But I'll tell you what's going to happen, and you can tell your daughter this, is that they get immune to it. So if they start too early, they're going to get immune before they actually really might want to need it.
Wow, that's
so
interesting.
Please, I don't have girls, but please give them the warning.
Oh, my girls don't do that. I think it's more of a just observation, observing what their generation is doing, right?
Oh, yeah. It's so sad, and they will get immune to it for sure. I've already seen it happen to a friend who started too early. I joke with my friends and I say, by the time one of these days when we go out, because there's a group of us from the gym that all go out together, I said, everybody's going to think I'm your freaking mom, because I'm not going to do it,
Yeah, I know. I'm right. Tracy, I'm going to be right there with you. Be right there with you.
I just got to laugh about it.
Yeah.
So, Dana, in parting, what would you like to tell the listeners? How can they find you? All that good stuff.
Yeah. So they can find me on my podcast, Vitally You. They can find me on my website, Dana Frost. I'm most active on social media through the avenue of Instagram, and that's Dana Frost, Vitally You. What I would like to share is everything you need is inside of you. And even if that everything you need is what's your next step, and it's, I need a hand to hold, and that's outside of you, the knowing is inside of you. It's never outside of you. And so, take those moments to listen, take the moment to do heart-focused breathing. It's so easy. Visualize the inhale and exhale to flow to and from the heart center and ask, what do I need next? And the answer is there for you.
That's really beautiful. That's what I've learned. All the answers are inside of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's a pleasure to talk with somebody who is so knowledgeable in your field and has, had a really good experience healing yourself and others. So I appreciate that.
Well, Tracy, it's such an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, that was super fun. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. She is just a wealth of knowledge and spirit. And for complete show notes, please head on over to highenergygirl.com/show. Go out and make it a great day. This podcast contains the opinion and thoughts of its host and guests. It is intended to provide helpful and informative material on the subjects covered. All statements made on the podcast have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. If the listener requires professional assistance or advice, please contact your personal medical doctor. Both host and guest specifically disclaim any responsibility for any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence directly or indirectly of the use and application of any of the contents of these episodes. Like I said, this is my opinion and I could be wrong.